This is my project. As you can see, it's an Audi A2, but not just any Audi A2. This is a Colour Storm. And in 2003, a Colour Storm was a £630 option on top of an already quite off-putting list price of just under £14,500 for this particular car, coming out at just over £15,000 overall, and that's more than a Mini Cooper S was back then. And in today's prices, adjusting for inflation, that's about £35,000. As a result, they didn't really sell too many A2s, with about 18,000 registered up until the end of the production run in 2006 on UK roads. And as per last year's figures, around 10,000 of those are now gone off the roads, which makes an Audi A2 a rarer sight on the road than an Aston Martin Vantage. And when it comes to the FSI, it means you're more likely to see a Ford Sierra RS Cosworth on the roads than you are an A2 FSI. And what you got for your money with the Colour Storm was less painted parts, basically, a choice of 3 colours which went to 4 and then 5 by 2004, and some matching deep fabrics. And actually it's not listed on this brochure, but you could in theory choose any colour if you're willing to pay a little bit more, but otherwise these were pretty much distinctive colours for the Colour Storm, and mine especially in the Sprint Blue Pearl effect.
So, where does that leave us? It has no MOT. The good news of sorts is that it's failed an MOT, so we kind of got an idea what we might need to do to get it through an MOT. Going off that list and the advisories from the year before, when it last had a valid MOT pass, we're looking at offside front steering gaiter, offside front anti-roll bar ball joint, offside front track rod end ball joint, offside front strut top mount, near side rear shock absorber, near side rear stoplight, offside front washer jet, maybe the parking brake, a small oil leak, and it's got near side front lower ball joint dust cover on there as well. Brake discs have been advised, but the previous owner has replaced all of those and done a few bits and pieces, so those are the MOT issues. The inside's a little bit tatty. These Audis of this era, they tend to suffer from the soft touch, so all the coverings for buttons, they're like a rubberized paint and it rubs off, so you end up just with white plastic showing through where you should be able to see the actual button symbols and things like that. So there's quite a lot of that to do. Driver side sun visor is in a bit of a state. The cup holders don't work, they're broken, another common thing. The ashtray doesn't work. Driver's door has dropped and doesn't close properly, so that needs looking at. Overall, a lot of cosmetic stuff, which I think we'll get to, but the most important stuff not to be distracted from doing first is the mechanicals.
First up was the offside front corner, so I'm doing the shock absorber here and it's hidden behind the brake fluid reservoir, as you can see there, so it's a little bit more trickier than the near side. Not as bad as people make out though, it's just a few bolts to actually undo the bracket that holds that in place, as you can see there, and then it can move to one side. 10mm bolts, everything up here is roughly 10mm anyway, so moving on to the top mount nuts, as you can see here there's 3 of them, all 10mm. Don't want to undo these all the way, I just want to loosen them off because I want the shock absorber to still hang there from the tower, because it's going to make the actual disassembly in the wheel arch easier if there isn't a big heavy shock trying to pull down on you. Next job, the anti-roll bar link, as you can see here, it looks like it's been down with the Titanic, pretty rusty. Obviously won't be original, but I was still quite surprised considering the state of it that it came off without being cut. So just going to loosen that off the shock absorber for now to get it all free. And once I was in this area, I did notice that the brake line here was actually ripped down to the inner nylon, so I added that to my list, undid the pinch bolt, and with some persuasion I managed to get the shock absorber free. There's a video on doing this in a bit more detail linked above. And I ordered some parts, went for Febby Bilstein as per usual, and this is the comparison of the top mount. So you see the bearing is still attached on the new one, exactly how it should be, and then with the old one it's separated off. And not only that, but the actual bearings, ball bearings as they were themselves, they're all rusty, and yeah, that's dried up, so was definitely a genuine thing that needed doing. And as you can see here, this is the dust cover for the track rod end and the gaiter on the track rod end, so I managed to whip them off as well. So the actual nut that holds the track rod end sort of in place for your tracking had to come off for me to slide the gaiter over and onto this. So I could get the gaiter on. So a bit more plasticky than the rubber one that came off, but it's all fine. A little bit of a tight. As you can see here, the zip ties are going to hold this in place, but I've managed to slip them on and push the gaiter into place, and then just put an arm and a hand through to do the final bit of tightening on this, because there's not a lot of room to work with here. The subframe gets in the way, especially if you're not working on some sort of ramp. And then same on the outer edge, just another zip tie on there. And then next up I was undoing the brake line. Luckily everything came off fine here. So obviously using a decent brake pipe spanner for that to prevent anything rounding, and then managed to slip it off and out the way, and just made sure that the new one was the right part. But as you can see, this one's seen better days, and it had this split, which I'm surprised it wasn't picked up on the MOT or the previous MOT as well, because that was a really obvious one, but I can never understand MOT testers. So new brake line ready to go into place. Just going to clean up the area on here, get rid of all the mud and crud, especially when we've got the end of the brake hose all nice and fresh. Don't want any dirt getting into that when we put it into the little bracket. And then we've got the little retaining clip to hold that one in place. Now, of course, there's a video on my channel for doing all of the front suspension in some detail, so I don't want to repeat any of that. But I put everything back together, so new top mount on there, new anti-roll bar. I didn't go overboard on this because I want to know it passes the MOT first before I plunge a load of money into the car. So that was pretty much me done on that corner, and I was moving over to the rear shock absorbers. So rear shock absorbers are pretty straightforward. It all unbolts quite easily into the rear. You don't have to get inside the car to do it. It's just a case of undoing all of the little torque screws to remove the plastic wheel arch liner, which some of them can be a bit rusted and difficult in place. But once they're free, as you can see, there's two bolts holding that top mount into the inside of the wheel arch, the wheel well, and then easily removed. And then there's a nut and bolt at the bottom as well, which you're at the mercy of rust again. But once all that's off, it's all pretty straightforward. The actual top mount doesn't do much. It only bolts on there. It's like a bracket more than anything else. So I got some reasonably priced shock absorbers, stripped it all down, put it all back together, but I did replace the dust covers because they were long past it, so it's worth doing those, especially because they're visible. And yeah, built them all back up and put them into place. Pretty straightforward. Just have to watch out for those top sort of nuts. They're like captive nuts because it's obviously an aluminium chassis, so you have to go easy on those. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward job really. Got that one done quite quickly. So I was able to move then on to the washer jets, which is one of the other quick jobs. So I bought some silicone hose with some little T's and sort of L-shaped brackets, about £5 off eBay, and then yeah, just replace the lines, and that's all these needed. And just another additional thing here I didn't mention earlier was the radio wasn't working, so if you have this at any point, it might be a useful thing to look at. But pulled the radio out, and the 7.5 amp fuse on the back was blown, so I swapped that out to a fresh fuse and popped that into place. I don't know what would have caused this to have blown, but here we are. Then put them back in. Of course, ignition on first, and there we go, working again. So that was the result. Now finally for this video, I just want to talk about the trouble with the FSI engine. So it is a bit tricky engine, there's a lot of delicate things on it. It's a bit temperamental when it's not serviced properly. So as you'll see on here, the engine light wasn't showing with the key on, ignition off. So basically key turned and engine not running. You'll see this an awful lot on FSIs. People like blank out the engine light, and it is a big problem. So this was no different. And what follows from this point is worthy of a video of its own right, of trying to solve some of the problems on here. But a quick scan with the code reader showed several codes coming up on here. So if you want to stick around and see me try and solve these, then remember to subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.
Stay with me tonight, far from the fading light. We can leave it all behind, just breathe and feel alive.